All right, this is a video answer key for the Intro to Stock Market quiz. We're going to start with question 1. Julia and Francis are partners in a local bike shop. They need $125,000 to start their business. They invested in a 1-to-4 ratio respectively. So we're going to start by just sketching out their investment. Now, one partner invested 1 part and the other invested 4 parts. And we're going to assume that each part is equal. Now, because it's a 1-to-4 ratio, we know the first part, and it is respective, is Julia's investment. And then we know the remaining part is Francis's investment. And we know that the entire investment is $125,000. So in order to figure out just one part ownership, we're going to take $125,000 and divide it by 5. And we see that that means each part is worth $25,000. Now, keeping that in mind and that Julia invested only 1 part, we know that Julia's investment is $25,000. Okay, now question 2 is how much did Francis invest? Now, we know that Francis invested the remaining amount, right? So Francis's investment is this piece over here, those 4 parts. And there are 4 parts at $25,000 each, which is a total of $100,000. Right? So Francis' investment is $100,000. Now, question 3. What percent of the business did Julia own? Now remember, once again, Julia owned $25,000 out of $125,000. So to get the percent, we're simply going to find the decimal and convert it to a percent. So we have 25,000 out of 125,000, which comes out a 0.2, which is 20%. Just a reminder, to convert between a decimal to percent, we simply multiply by 100. So what percent did Julia own? 20% of the business. Now that quickly gives away what percent Francis owned, because Francis owns the remaining portion of the business. The entire business is 100%. So Julia owned 20%. 100 minus 20 means Francis owned 80% of the business. Question 5. What was the difference between the 52-week high and the 52-week low for 1 share of McDonald's Corporation? So first thing we need to do is we need to find where the 52-week high and low are located on this chart. If we look closely, we can see that those are located in the first and second column. Now we can take note that McDonald's is located in the 3rd row. So we need to find the difference between these 2 values, 63, 69, and 46, 64. Using our calculator, we can quickly determine that that is $17.05. So the difference, $17.05. Question 6. What was the difference between the low and high for 1 share of Texas Instrument? So the first thing we need to do is find where high and low are. We can see that those are in the last 2 columns of the chart. We then need to find Texas Instrument. That is the second from last stock. So we see that the high is $29.64 and that the low is $28.38. We're going to find the difference, meaning we're going to subtract the 2. So $29.64 minus $28.38. Using our calculator, we get $1.26. So that is our difference, $1.26. Question 7. Determine the close for Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated on March 4th. Well, this chart shows us the information for March 5th. Therefore, we don't actually know the close on March 4th. Let's call that X. Now, we do know that Berkshire Hathaway changed by $1,000 between those 2 days. So we know that if we take X and we subtract 1,000, we should get the close on March 5th, which was $127,200. Now, to solve this equation for x, we're going to add 1,000 to both sides of the equation. And we get that x is equal to 128,200, which represents the close for Berkshire Hathaway, $128,200. Question 8. How many actual shares of Westpac Banking Corporation were traded on March 5th? Now, if we look closely, we'll notice that the sales, the volume is shown in this third to last column where it says sales of 100s. And we know that, for example, Berkshire Hathaway, there was 4.11 hundreds sold. So let's find our Westpac Banking Corporation, which is at the very bottom. Now, we know that that means there were 332.7 hundreds of stock sold. Now, to convert that to the actual, we're simply going to take the 332.7 and multiply it by 100. Now, that will give us 33270, or 33,270 shares that were traded. 33270. Okay, question 9. Looking at the Nintendo Corporation stock over this 5-day period, which day did the stock close lower than it opened? Well, if I remember correctly, the left-hand side, these little lines that pop out, are opening price, and the right-hand side are close, right? Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, and close. So in this case, it opened low, and then it closed high. So that's not what we want. We want a close that's lower. Opened low, closed high, opened higher, then it went down, it closed. Opened low, closed high, opened low, closed high. So the only day in which it closed lower, meaning there was a drop between the open and close, was on April 14th. Question 10. On which day was the highest price per share? Well, if we look closely, and we remember from what we learned in class, we know that the lows and highs ultimately are shown with these little half circular arcs. So on April 12th, we could see that we have our lowest low, and then on April 14th, we could see that we have our highest high. Now you will notice that both the 13th and 14th appear near identical. Now because we can't zoom in anymore and see if they are the same or not, we're going to use this little arc to signify which one is the highest. So we're going to say that April 14th is in fact the highest price per share. Question 11. Going off of the exact same logic as we discussed on question 10, using our little arcs to show the highest and lowest, we can also see that this particular bar is much lower than the others. So we can see that April 12th is in fact the lowest price per share day. All right, so question 12. Approximately how many shares were traded on April 16th? Well, April 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Now, if we look really closely, we'll notice that this halfway line is 0.20 million. And we know that the 16th is about halfway between the 0.20 million and the 0.40 million. So we know that we are in the middle of 0.20 million and 0.40 million. Well, what's in the middle of 20 and 40? It's going to be 0.30 million. Now, I don't see that as an option on my multiple choice options over here. So it looks like I need to convert it into thousands. So if I had 0.30 million, let's see how many thousands that is. So using my calculator, I have 0.30 times 1 million, and I can see that that's 300,000. Question 13. What was the opening price per share on April 13th? Well, let's start by finding April 13th. The first day of the week was the 12th. This next day was the 13th. Now remember, I'm looking at this bar chart, this little line with the two tails at the top to determine opening and close. So the line on the left always signifies our opening. So that's located at this line right here. So I'm going to follow it across. And I see that it opened at $75. All right, question 14. What was the closing price per share on the same date? So remember, this line is our open, this other line is our close. Well, this line right above my closing price, or actually is my high, is $76. So I am somewhere between $75.50 and $76. I'm going to say that I'm quite close to $75 and let's say 90 cents. Anything in between those two numbers would be reasonable, so 75.9. Fill in the following information for Friday, April 16th. So 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. So we're looking here. So let's start with our open. We can see that our open is approximately between 74.50 and 75. Looks like right in the middle. So I'm going to say that our open is 74.75. Our close right here is slightly higher than that. So I'm going to say 74.80. Our high is the very top of this bar right here. And that looks to be in the middle of 75 and 75.50. So I'm going to say 75.25. Our low is the bottom of this line right here. So it looks like it's between 74 and 74.50, but closer to 74. So I'm going to say 74 and 10 cents. And then our volume is indicated by the bar at the bottom, and we can see that that is approximately 0.30 million, and we did this one earlier, or 300,000. All right, on which days were the opening prices higher than the closing prices, right? Question 16. Now, the way the candlestick charts work is if it opens high and then it closes low, it will be red, right? Red meaning it lost value. If it opens lower and then it closes higher, it will be green. So on which days did it open higher than it closed? So we're going to be looking for red candlesticks. There's only one. This is the 12th, 13th, 14th. So April 14th is our day in which it opened higher than it closed. Question 17. What was the approximate open price on April 14th? So let's start by finding April 14th. This is Monday the 12th, the 13th, the 14th. Now, if we remember correctly, the way these candlestick charts are set up is that the open is the bottom of the rectangle. So I'm going to find the line for the bottom of the rectangle, and I'm going to trace it across so I can see the scale. I can see that that is somewhere between 255 and 256. It's approximately in the middle, but slightly more. So it is 255 and let's say 60 cents. As long as it is within this reasonable amount, then it's going to be considered correct. All right, for the final question, question 18. What was the approximate high on April 16th? Well, this is the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. The high is designated by the top of the candlestick, this little tail. So I'm going to go all the way to the top, and I'm going to travel across and see that that's at 261. So the approximate high is $261. Oh, sorry, there is one more question. So question 19, which day had the greatest volume of stocks sold? Well, all I'm going to do here is look at all of the volume bars at the bottom and see which one goes at the highest. For me, it clearly is Monday as our winner, April 12th. All the others are just slightly lower. And that's it.